And welcome to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman along with Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau. Donny, for the first time that I can remember here on the show during the interview segment a little bit later, we will not have a head coach on. We've got a couple of players from the men's basketball team. Wright and Lukas Holland will join us. So that's going to be fun to get the players' perspective without the coach sitting right there filtering everything.
Absolutely, they're the veterans of the Cardinal men's basketball team on the court, but here at the Cardinals Nest they'll be the rookies, and we might have to give them a little initiation. So it'll be fun.
It will be, because those are a couple of the players that you and I talk about every single week here on the show. So now we'll get to introduce them a little bit more personally to you, and we'll do that later on. But first, during the first segment here, we'll take a look at the week back at St. Mary's Athletics here on HBC. And Donny, the women's hockey team, their winning streak, four-game winning streak, came to an end. But it was a good game against Gustavus. It's a conference opponent in a non-conference game, sort of one of those invitation games that Gustavus wanted to play them outside of the conference standings. And it was a good Gustavus, one of the better teams in the conference, and it was a 1-0 Gustavus win.
Yeah, and we talked last week about the fact that this is a good measuring stick for Coach Manor and his Cardinals, and despite the loss, I think Terry was very happy with what he saw. I mean, obviously a 1-0 game could have gone either way. He did say the third period that they played extremely well and had their chances to score a tying goal, maybe even a winning goal, but were not able to do so. But I think that he's feeling really good about where they're at with 6 weeks basically left in the regular season, and they start conference play this weekend against Bethel, and I think that he's liking where they're at. They're entering a time of the year where they need to start really clicking on all cylinders, and I think despite the loss, offensively they're scoring a lot of goals. They're playing very well that way. Kay Collier in goal is doing a phenomenal job to hold Gustavus to 1 goal. Nobody else has done that this year, and it's been quite a few years since they've only had a game where they've only scored 1 goal. So I think that things are definitely heading in the right direction, and now they turn their focus all to conference games, and now every game is very important. And I don't want to say that the pressure rises, but every game does become that much more important. You take the last 3 games, the 2 against Marion and the 1 against Gustavus, and you can really just kind of throw them out the window. Yeah, they're nice. It's nice to be 7-5-1, but more importantly, it's nice that they're 4-1-1 in the conference, and right now sitting in second place. So I think that that's something that that Coach Manor can take into this weekend against Bethel, not really worrying so much about the loss to Gustavus.
Right. Where do you think Coach Manor would still like to see some improvement? As you said, 7-5-1. They've could have won even some of the games that they ended up losing. Many of their losses came early when they started out with that 3-game losing streak. Is there an area or two he still thinks the team needs to improve to get to where they want to be?
Well, I think if they want to get where they want to be, they're going to need to continue to improve their offense. I mentioned that Kay Collier in goal has just been solid. I mean, for a freshman to be playing as well as she is outstanding. They've got great defensemen led by Diana Stewart. And so I think really if they want to get where they want to be, they're going to need to score some goals. And, Kay's not going to be able to hold every opponent to 1 goal, so they're going to need to make sure that they put the puck in the net. And right now they're spreading the offense out very well. And, Nicole Olson's doing a great job. She's having a phenomenal year as a junior. She had that 5-goal game against Marion and is really playing well. She leads the team in points with 10 and goals with 7. Stevie Feek is having a great sophomore year in leading the team in assists. So they're getting some offense from some players that in the past they maybe hadn't gotten the offense from. But I think what they need to do is continue to build, continue to get more offense from some other people, and hopefully score some more goals. 1-2 goals a game is not gonna carry them to where they want to get to.
Right. All right. Now let's go to men's hockey. Still officially just 1 win on the season. And last week, a couple of losses as they took on the Olies of St. Olaf. Now, that's a team that has beaten the Cardinals 3 times this year, almost by identical scores each time, 5-2 twice, and then 4-1 in the last game on Saturday night. The Saturday night game seemed different than many of the others that I've seen this year, in that there just seemed to be lacking a little bit of energy in the building. So St. Olaf, just a team that they haven't been able to crack this year.
Yeah, and the energy is, I think it was kind of in both in both instances is that the energy on the ice wasn't that great. The crowd was not, the team wasn't able to get the crowd into it. And, I think St. Olaf did a good job of taking the crowd out of the game. And again, that's one of the things. It was a 1-1 game at one point, and St. Mary's gives up 3 straight games to fall behind 4-1. And against a team like St. Olaf, you've got to be able to match them goal for goal. And, they did get a preview when they played them in the, earlier in this year in a non-conference game at St. Olaf. When they came out on Friday night, it was literally almost an identical game from the first time. And like you said, they lost 5-2. And I think that Coach Moore felt that maybe they didn't play as well as they could have. There were a lot of penalties in that game, and it was one of those things that they never really got into the flow of the game. On Saturday, you always look at Saturday games and wonder how much a Friday game takes out of them as they have to go back-to-back. And I think, not to change the subject, but it'll be interesting to talk to Will and Lukas about that. They get a day off between games, whereas the hockey teams, they've got to play basically on a Friday night and then a Saturday night, and that's always tough because you don't get that rest. Your body doesn't get a chance to heal.
Especially when it's the same opponent too.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of bumps and bruises, and you just don't get that preparation. You don't get that day in between to try and prepare for what's going on. And I think you're right. You're playing the same team 2 days in a row, and you had lost to St. Olaf 5-2 twice. You're going into the third time you faced them. You know exactly what they're going to do. It's just a matter of figuring out a way to stop them. And unfortunately, the Cardinals couldn't do that.
And I thought St. Olaf such a different team than what the Cardinals had faced the previous weekend against Eau Claire and River Falls. Olaf, a fast skating team. They didn't seem overly physical on the ice, so that had to be an adjustment too.
Absolutely. And again, one of the things is they've got to, St. Mary's got to find a way to get out in front and then hold that lead. Now twice they've had 3-1 leads going into the third period in the last 4 or 5 games, and they haven't been able to hold that lead. And you always tell your team, get out in front, get that momentum. And unfortunately, heading into that third period, the third period has really been a struggle for them so far, and they haven't been able to keep that momentum. If they do build some momentum, they haven't been able to hold it in that third period.
Right. Coming up this weekend, it is Bethel for the Cardinals men, and that's going to be followed by St. Thomas. So some tough weekends coming up here. Both of those teams in the upper tier of the MIAC.
Absolutely. It's almost to the point now that St. Mary's is going to become the spoiler. If they don't pick up 2 wins this weekend, they're going to have to start looking at knocking teams off just to knock teams off. Their playoff hopes are really going to be dashed if they can't pick up a couple of wins against the Royals. And there's no doubt that they can't. I mean, I've seen a lot of glimpses of a very good team in this St. Mary's team. Right now, they just haven't been able to put it all together. And I think that they keep working and they keep battling and they keep Coach Moore keeps trying different combinations. Jason Horstman, we keep talking about freshman goalies, is having a great year. He's just got a 3.0 goals against average, which is very good, and he's right around 900 in save percentage. So he's having a great year. Again, the offense is what's really bringing them down. They're just not scoring enough goals, and in this conference, you've got to score goals because you're not going to win games 1-0 or 2-0. You're going to have to score some goals.
Now, we mentioned earlier that Lukas, Holland, Will Wright will be on the interview segment. I don't know if they know how lucky they have it because being on this show is what I mean, because the last 2 weeks, the athletes who have appeared on the Cardinals Nest have totally gone off. And so, guys, you're due for 30-point games tonight. We can
you talk about a Sports Illustrated jinx. I mean, we're the exact opposite.
2 weeks ago, it was Nicole Olson from the women's hockey team. Last week, we had the head coach, Mandy Pearson, of the women's basketball team on. She brought on Sarah Adey, who typically is not a big scorer. She is in there to rebound and mostly to rebound only. After appearing here on the Cardinals Nest, 17 points that night for Sarah Adey to go along with a high number of rebounds, too, in that game.
I asked Coach Pearson after the game. It was Wednesday, the day we taped, and I asked her if they wanted to come back on this week, and she says, well, we'll let somebody else do it. So it was really phenomenal. Sarah had a great game, and really, as we talk about the women's basketball team, that's right now what they need. They need some people other than Jess Miller and other than Jessica Thone and other than Sherry Kulig to step up and help out. And if they're going to be successful this second time around the conference teams, they're going to need some people to step up. Jess Thone is no longer a mystery to anybody. Everybody has seen her, and they know that she can shoot the ball. Jess Miller was a phenomenal player last year, so everybody knows about her, and Sherry Kulig. So there are no secrets anymore. So what they need is they need some people to step up that aren't those three and hopefully carry some of that load. And Sarah played a phenomenal game last Wednesday, and it was great to see that from a person who doesn't normally score, more than 2-3 points a game.
Since then, the Cardinals have gotten into a little 2-game losing streak here, and this is an important stretch for them when they were hoping to sort of get back up, at least into the middle of the conference standings. Had a chance against Augsburg, sort of let one slip away at home the other night, thanks in part to a terrific performance from one Augsburg player.
Yeah, Shannon Rennie has just been on fire. She came into Monday's game against the Cardinals having just set a conference record for three-pointers in a game in 9, and she came to St. Mary's on Monday, knocked down 3 in the first 5 minutes of that game, finished with 6 more three-pointers. So she was a one-woman wrecking crew, and you're right. I think that was a game that Coach Pearson would love to have back. That's a game that they probably should have won. Now, obviously, Augsburg is playing very well of late, and their record doesn't really indicate how good of a team that they are. But I think more than that, I think the one that really hurt a little bit was the Concordia game on Saturday, and that they held a team like Concordia, one of the top teams in the conference, to 46 points. Including 19 in the second half, which is a great defensive performance.
And that was at Concordia.
Absolutely. The problem being is they only scored 17 second half points and lost by 3, 46-43. One of those are the kind of games, those are the kind of efforts they need, but they also need to get the win for that effort. And if they can pull out a couple of those wins and not let the game slip by that they need to win, I think that we can still talk about St. Mary's in the playoff hunt as we round the corner here and head into February.
Yeah, McAllister Wednesday night, then Bethel and Gustavus coming up over the weekend here.
Yeah, so. Big weekend for them. It's that time of year, and we'll again talk to Will and Lukas. You're playing Monday, you're playing Wednesday, you're playing Saturday, and it's a grind now, and they're just starting Wednesday night. They'll start the second round where they'll start back over again with McAllister, and then on with the rest of the schedule. So they've seen all the teams once. All the teams have seen them once, and so now they start it all over again.
Donny will go over now to swimming and diving, and it was the final home meet of the season for the swimmers and divers, and the seniors went out with a bang. They really did well.
Yeah, Coach Lindquist is always, he looks forward to this meet in that it is a nice way to send off his seniors, and it always seems like every year those seniors just do a phenomenal job in this event. John Fox and Tom Walsh had a great meet, and it's one of those things that I think obviously the seniors get all keyed up for it, but the one thing that after talking to Coach Lindquist was, what people have to remember is their season's far from over. They've still got a couple of dual meets left, or a couple of invitationals left, even before the conference championship. So yes, this is the end of the line for the home meets, but they still have a lot of work to do and a lot of preparation to go into before the end of February when they go to the conference championships.
Right. And you brought up the two male seniors, the females, Courtney Kaler, Jennifer Salzman, Angela Lager also had a terrific final.
Yeah, it was a great, all 5 of them literally stepped into the spotlight and probably had their best meets of the year, if not of their career, and it is really fitting that it happens on senior day. And you find that a lot with a lot of sports, and that the seniors really step it up. It's their special day, and it was great to see those 5 really go out of their home careers on a very high note.
Track and field, from an indoor standpoint, now officially underway. Andrew Brugan had already provisionally qualified for the NCAA Division III National Tournament, and he continued his terrific throwing at Eau Claire.
Yeah, and I talked to Coach McMahon after the Eau Claire meet, and he said, Andrew's doing great, and there's still more to come. And he went, in the mid 16 meters. The first weekend at the Northwest Open, and he threw it over 18 meters at UW Eau Claire. So obviously he's got some more in him, and the performance that he had at Eau Claire really brings him very, very close to an automatic qualifier for the national championship. So he's doing very well, and having talked to Coach McMahon this weekend at Whitewater, they'll have all of their competitors going, the sprinters and jumpers, along with their distance people and some of their weight throwers. And I know that Coach McMahon's excited for this weekend just for that reason. Everybody's going to be competing, and he wants to kind of see where they're starting and where they need to get to when they get to the indoor championships in March.
And and at Eau Claire, Joanna Pace placed 4th in the 400, so she's off to a terrific start.
Absolutely. And Terry Heinzen hasn't done any sprinting yet. She was a 2-time all-conference performer last year. Sarah Harstead had a great year last year as an all-conference performer. So there's a lot of people out there that are really chomping at the bit to get into action, and this weekend at Whitewater will really be the official kickoff for for the Cardinal track and field teams.
All right, when we come back here on the Cardinals Nest, we'll talk men's basketball with Lukas Holland and Will Wright. That's next here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
It's been a great experience. I would recommend it to anybody. There's a lot of little guys out there that need help and need a male role model to look up to and help them with various aspects of their life.
Yeah, because of him, I got very good grades right now. I thought that I would get bad grades by myself, but now that I have Marcus around, yeah, I have better grades.
If you want to be a part of it, contact Big Brothers Big Sisters of Winona at 452-2227. It's easier than you think. You don't have to change your life to change his life.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman, Donny, Nadeau, joined now by a couple of players from the men's basketball team. We welcome in Will Wright and Lukas Holland, a couple of juniors now already. It seems like you've been playing for St. Mary's forever, still just juniors, though. Thanks for being on the Cardinals Nest here.
Thanks for having us.
Will, let's start out with you. Tell us where you're from, how you landed at St. Mary's, maybe how you got started out in basketball as a kid, and what you're majoring in now at St. Mary's.
Okay. Well, I'm from Chicago. I went to Marist High School, and Ron Weimer, who does a lot of recruiting in the Chicago area, I met him the middle of my senior year. He came for a visit. They always have the St. Mary bus trips from Marist into the Chicago area to Winona. So I got a chance to come visit, and I really enjoyed the campus. Playing here was, the reason I came here was for basketball. And I started playing basketball probably around, my first official team was 3rd grade. And I've been playing ever since, and I've been enjoying it ever since. So.
And at St. Mary's, you're an accounting major, right?
Accounting major, yep.
All right, good. And I know a lot of different ways you can go with accounting, so I know you'll do well with that. Now, you probably didn't meet Lukas on that first recruiting trip, did you?
Well, not the first trip. The second trip I came, we got to play with some of the upperclassmen, and so I think it might have been about 5, 6 seniors that came to play with the upperclassmen and stuff like that. So I didn't meet Lukas officially, but he was there.
Okay.
I mean, I can notice the hair. So I mean, he was there. He was there.
Yeah. So. All right, good. And Lukas, tell us about yourself. You're, not a Winona native, but you're from the area.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm from La Crosse, Wisconsin, and I went to La Crosse Central. And I came here. I got recruited a lot through the former assistant coach, and I really decided to come here after I came and visited and met all the players and met Will and played with Will. So I really liked a lot of the returning players, which there was a lot. So that helped me kind of get a niche for what the team was going to be like, and I kind of found it really easy to fit in. So that's really the main reason.
Good. And a sociology major, right? Hope to get into some kind of social work.
Hopefully social work at one point.
Good. All right.
Dean made the comment that it seems like you guys have been playing here forever, and really, as freshmen, you stepped in and started playing right away.
Yeah.
If you can just, Will, we'll start with you. If you can just kind of talk a little bit about the difference between that first year that you played here and now. Talk about a little bit about, obviously you're playing with a lot more confidence now, having been in the program, but talk a little bit about the difference between that first year and where you're at now.
Well, I think the first year I just wanted to more establish myself as a player. I mean, because coming to play with these upperclassmen, they're going to belittle you a little bit. So the first initial was just say, I got to work my hardest, see that I'm working hard, and hopefully get my chance to play. Luckily, I was able to play right away. I mean, it was nerve-wracking from the beginning, but as it progressed, I mean, I got more confident, and now, I mean, I'm trying to give this confidence to the freshmen because we have a lot of freshmen this year. So if I can make them more confident like I was when I was a freshman, it'll help us in the long run.
And Lukas, you've started every single game since you came here from La Crosse Central. The same question. Talk a little bit about the adjustment you had to make from high school to college, and now really to being one of those leaders.
Yeah, well, in high school, I was my teammates really looked for me to get the ball and score, and then kind of in college, getting thrown into the starting point guard role and having the ball, I kind of want to just get the ball up the court and not throw it to the other team. So, but now that I kind of am getting more comfortable and other players look to me for their confidence, it's kind of important to kind of have that same impact that the seniors had when I was a freshman, and I kind of show that to them, and because I know how much they did for me, so that's helpful.
It's interesting. Usually, with most teams, you look to the seniors to be the leaders. Well, you guys don't have any, so a lot of that does come to you guys. Is that something that you enjoy, being being one of those people that not only they come to as a player in terms of being the go-to guy, but also in terms of just being a leader on and off the court?
Well, it's a good feeling. I mean, it's always a good feeling having your younger players look up to you, not just on the court, but off the court. And if you can provide a good influence for them, I mean, when they become the juniors and seniors, they can do the same thing and keep this program on the up like we've been trying to do for the last few years. So,
yeah, it's obviously it is on the up. And, you know, your freshman year, you had the adjustment of, you know, playing as freshmen, but also under a new coach. And then your sophomore year, you got another new coach. And how's the adjustment been now that you're in your second year with Coach Landrum?
I think it's been going pretty well. It's pretty smooth. I mean, the first initial when you're a freshman and your new coach and another new coach is just like, okay, when is it going to stop? When we're going to have something that's the norm right now. But these last 2 years have been great. I've enjoyed playing for Coach Landrum a lot. I mean, he makes practice fun, games more fun. So that's what I would say.
How about you, Lukas? Yeah, I think Coach Landrum came in and really like set himself right away really strong. So and as only playing for our previous coach for 1 year, we didn't really get to that comfortable. So it kind of felt like we were starting our college career over again and on the right foot. So like it came really natural as a team. The team really came together as we knew that we had to come together as with a new coach, and he had to help us out, and we're going to help him out learn everything in the system.
Now, here's an interesting question for you, and I don't know if you'll want to answer it or not, but, you know, you two have been the go-to guys for, you know, basically your first 2.5 years. Now all of a sudden there's a third guy in the mix in Chris Palmer. Is that a good thing for you guys that you've got somebody else that you guys can get the ball to, that can also do some scoring, do some great jobs, you know, pulling rebounds down underneath?
Yeah, I think it's helped. I mean, before it was kind of like there was too much pressure on us, I think. I mean, the other teams would put a lot of pressure on Will and I, and it was kind of everybody was looking for us to score and looking for us. But now that we have a lot of trust to give the ball to anybody else on the team. Chris Palmer's done like a great job at that, but we can give the ball up and feel confident that it's going to either come back to us or someone's going to make a good decision, a good shot. So it's helped the whole team out, including us.
I'm just curious, how has that changed your game a little bit this year? I mean, has that changed strategies from a team standpoint? Has that changed how you go into individual games, thinking about what you might want to do?
I would say so. Just because, like Lukas said, like the last couple of years, we have been the go-to guys. The people, defenses play around stopping us. And then last 2 years when we couldn't score, we as a team, we couldn't score. Now that you have that third, fourth, fifth element now with even Thomas Sims and a couple other freshmen and Pat Freeman stepping up, I mean, you can't stop everybody. It's easier to play against two people than 3, 4, and since everyone else can score, I mean, that's what's gotten us to be so much better offensively. So
I'm wondering if for high school players that are watching, or if you ever talk to high school students, what does it take to elevate your game at the college level? Because obviously both of you have done it. And there's always natural athletic maturation that's going to occur, but it has to be just more than that to elevate your game at a collegiate level.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of mental as well as physical. I know I came in and I was probably the skinniest guy on the court, and so I mean, but it was kind of like the mental thing that I didn't really care who I was up against. Like, no one really cares if you're a freshman or not. You come in, you have to like prove yourself, and I think that's what it takes. It's kind of a mental thing that you have to set in your mind that you can do it, and that you're going to work your hardest to achieve it.
Not to embarrass Will or anything, but early in the year you scored your 1,000th point, which is a phenomenal accomplishment for a junior. You're climbing up the ladder of all-time career scorers pretty darn fast. You know, you're 15th now, soon to be 14th, probably soon to be. Do you think about things like that? I mean, obviously it's a great individual accomplishment, but is it something that you've been able to sit back and think about?
Not, well, kind of, but I'm really more important about winning. I mean, probably after my 4 years, I'm thinking about like, wow, I really did that. But now it's just about winning, and I mean, I hear it for all the time, so it's not like I don't think about it. But it's just like winning is what's coming first, and if we can do that after my 4 years, I can look back like, wow, I really did something for St. Mary's basketball, and that's something I can carry with me after I've done playing and hopefully keep winning and bring something here for a title or something.
No, I put Will on the spot once. I got to put Lukas on the spot.
At least once.
Yeah. I was told to ask you, you have to prioritize this for me, okay? Schoolwork, basketball, and the wire.
I would definitely put my schoolwork first and then basketball, but any time in between that, I'm watching the
Rumor
live.
has it you're trading discs with somebody.
Yeah, with Coach Beeble. We actually just got some more discs today, right before I came here. And
That's exactly what he told me.
Right before I left, I was watching it. So.
Well, and I think he got his priorities straight.
I think he got them
people
straight.
would be
That's a
happy
good
with that answer. Final question here, and this is for either or both of you. Where do you think this team can go, even especially looking ahead next year? Because you're still playing together a lot for the first time this year with all of the new freshmen, but you have a lot of talent, and next year then you're going to have played 1 year together. Where do you think this team can go?
I think. Well, even this year we have a lot of hopes. We're starting the second go around in the conference,
Right.
and I think that we still have a chance of making the tournament. But next year, coming back with the same, not losing any players, that's something that a lot of teams can't say. And
Right.
I think that we're going to really not. I don't think we can even say we're going to surprise teams anymore, because we're actually going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think we can go out and have a lot of stuff to prove.
Yeah, you're right. There's no question. They're ready for St. Mary's
Yeah.
when
I
because
think
they
the excitement
know.
seems to be different. You know,
Yeah.
you guys have been on the road quite a bit lately, but
Yeah.
you know, every time you guys have a home game, the fans are. I mean, the stands are actually full, and,
Yeah.
and that's something that hasn't happened. Do you guys feel that on the court as well? That there's a change in the atmosphere?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from freshman to sophomore year, you would probably find no one there, and to me, it's almost like, I mean, the games are free. Like, why don't you come support your team? Like, really. But now it's more exciting. Like, people want to come watch. I've even had even alumni from games have come down and watch us in our away games. Like, we have people coming to all of our games now. So it's very motivating for us to even, not only that we motivate ourselves to do better, but the crowd's motivating us to do better. It's just a good atmosphere now. So.
All right, guys, we're out of time, but thanks for being on the show. Good luck the rest of the season here. And based on the other athletes that have been on the show, we expect a lot out of you in the next few games here.
Thank you.
All right, Will Wright, Lukas, Holland. Stay tuned. Donny and I will be back with more after this on HBC.
With objects coming right out of the screen, so real.
Prepared by Dr. Bryant to determine your ability to withstand shock.
The carnival of soul.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Back to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest here on HBC, and we'll take a look at some of the non-sporting events coming up at St. Mary's University. The first one we'll talk about is actually a sporting event, though it's not an organized varsity sporting event, and that is the 10K, SMU 10K Classic Ski event, and it'll be on January 31st. The event is open to all individuals. There is a start time slated for 1 p.m., On-site registration begins at 11 a.m. at the Toner Student Center. The cost is $10 to participate, and that includes a souvenir race bib, Donnie. And so medals will be awarded for both men and women in open and recreational classes. You can call Davey Warner at the number on your screen there for more information. Also, Winona's Poet Laureate, Ken McCullough from St. Mary's University, and the former Poet Laureate, Jim Armstrong from Winona State, will co-host what's called a Confluence of Voices on Friday, January 29th. Several poets from St. Mary's and Winona State will read their work in round-robin fashion, followed by an open mic that's going to be at the Mugby Junction Restaurant, 451 Huff Street from 4 to 6 p.m. And finally, this weekend on Saturday night, January 23rd, the St. Mary's University International Showcase will be held at 8 p.m. in the dining room of the Toner Student Center. The evening will include international music and dance performed by the many St. Mary's International students, and the proceeds will go to the Haiti Victim Fund. That's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. For Donny Nadeau, I'm Dean Beckman. So long. Thanks for watching. Tune in again next week for another Cardinals Nest right here on HBC.